Remember the names: Orizu, Dipcharima, Ironsi, Mbadiwe. Remember those names. Of course, Azikiwe. While at Dipcharima's residence, we, that's the NPC guys, contacted the British High Commission and requested for military assistance in the event that our loyal troops may require any or should require any. The response was positive, but the British insisted that the request must be written by the Prime Minister or in his absence by a properly appointed deputy. We therefore drove to the residence of Dr. Orizu. So remember, they first went to Mbadiwe's place. Now they went to meet the Oyinbo. They said they need, somebody has to write a letter. They are now going to Orizu's place. Why? Because Orizu was the acting president. This Orizu has his own history separately. We'll talk about it someday. We therefore drove to the residence of Dr. Orizu and requested him to appoint Dipcharima acting prime minister. Dr. Orizu requested to see our NCNC colleagues to confirm whether they supported our proposition, and they joined us soon afterwards. They had apparently been caucusing at Dr. Mbadiwe's residence. He, Mbadiwe, was their choice of acting prime minister. This was naturally unacceptable to us, since the NPC was the major governing party. While we were at Orizu's residence, please guys, if you are doing anything else, stop it. Ejo, listen to this. While we were at Orizu's residence, Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi, who had seemingly secured Lagos, came in with some armed escorts. He requested for a tete-a-tete with Orizu. The two had a 40-minute discussion in another room, while we waited anxiously in the sitting room, with the armed soldiers standing and staring at us. When Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi finally emerged, he talked to Dipcharima Sotovosi and then drove off with his troops. In other words, this consulting that this guy is mentioning in this book was a short conversation between Aguiyi-Ironsi and Dipcharima. There was no consulting anything. The consultation happened between him and Orizu, and I dare say Azikiwe was in on it. How do I know? Because of Azikwe's statement after this meeting, and I'm going to, I'm going to play, you're going to hear him say it. I'll play that video today. You'll hear the audio. I can assure you Azikiwe was in on this meeting. 40 minutes Orizu and Ironsi were in a room discussing. This one wrote a book and said Ironsi went to consult Dipcharima. How would you consult Dipcharima when you didn't even make him acting prime minister? We're going somewhere. Let me not run ahead of myself. You're going to see exactly what Azikiwe did. This thing was planned to the T. And by the way, I'll say it again, it was a 2FA kind of thing. It was two-factor authentication. It was brilliant. It was the idea that the civilian would do it. If that doesn't work, the military should step in. It was perfected before Azikiwe traveled out of the country. How do I know? You will hear it today. You will hear it. So he requested for a tete-a-tete with Orizu. The two had 40 minutes discussion in another room. That other room, what was happening in that other room? What happened afterwards will tell us what happened in that room. Because there is no way on earth you'll be in the UK. You'll be in the UK and say things that nobody in Nigeria knows before that moment, and you are telling me you're not part of the meeting that happened in Nigeria. Co possible. We'll get to it. The two, that's Aguiyi-Ironsi and Orizu, had a 40 minutes discussion in another room while we waited anxiously in the sitting room, with the armed soldiers standing and staring at us. When Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi finally emerged, he talked to Dipcharima Sotovosi and then drove off with his troops. Dr. Orizu then joined us, regretted his inability in the circumstances to oblige our request. He suggested we all return to our homes and wait until we were required. All efforts to get any clarification failed. We left in utter desperation. Oh, maybe he's lying. Maybe he's lying. Why should we take what he's saying? I mean, it's just one man, like somebody said, just one man. Maybe he's lying. Maybe. But let's look at another person who was also in NPC, but this time not a Northerner, a Yoruba man. The man's name is Richard Akinjide. Let me read something from what he said in July of 2020. This is Chief Richard Akinjide. By the way, they were also going to arrest him and Shehu Shagari. That's why the work they were supposed to do in Lagos was plenty. They also don't do as much as what they planned. They were going to arrest Akinjide, Shehu Shagari, the rest of them, the lot of them, Ada, and so on and so forth. So let's listen to Akinjide. It says here, talking on the first coup, when Balewa got missing, we knew Okotie-Eboh had been held. We knew Akintola had been killed. We, the members of the Balewa cabinet, started meeting. But how can you have a cabinet meeting without a prime minister acting or prime minister presiding? So unanimously, we nominated acting prime minister amongst us. Then we continued holding our meetings. Then we got a message that we should assemble at the cabinet office. All the ministers were requested by the GOC of the Nigerian army. We're going to get to that later. General Ironsi to assemble. What was amazing at that time was that Ironsi was going all over Lagos unarmed. We assembled there. Having nominated Zanadip Charima as our acting prime minister in the absence of the prime minister, whose whereabouts we didn't know, we approached the acting president, Onyeama Orizu, to swear him in because he cannot legitimately act as the prime minister except he is sworn in. Onyeama Orizu refused. He said he needed to contact Zik, who was then in West Indies. This is how I know Zik was contacted. In fact, this is one way to know. There's another way. We're going to go up to that. Onyeama Orizu used his mouth to tell Akinjide that I cannot make Dip Charima the acting prime minister until I have consulted with Azikiwe. Under the law, that is, the Interpretation Act, as acting president, Onyeama Orizu had all the powers of the president. The GOC said he wanted to see all the cabinet members, and so we assembled at the cabinet office. Well, I have read in many books saying that we handed over to the military. We did not hand over. Ironsi told us that, quote, you either hand over as gentlemen or you hand over by force, end quote. Those were his words. Is that voluntary handover? So we did not hand over. We wanted an acting prime minister to be in place, but Ironsi forced us, and I use the word force advisedly, to hand over to him. He was controlling the soldiers. The acting president, Onyeama Orizu, who did not cooperate with us, cooperated with the GOC. Onyeama Orizu did not cooperate with the Balewa cabinet and MPC members, but he cooperated with Ironsi. How do we know that? Well, they had a 40-minute conversation. What do you think they were doing there? Tente? They're not doing Tente now. They were talking. They were planning. And I dare say they were having that conversation with Azikiwe. Why? Because Orizu himself said it here. We have to talk to Azikiwe first. But that's not the only way to know. We'll get to the second one very soon. So it says here, Orizu did not cooperate with us, but he cooperated with the GOC. Dr. Orizu and please listen to this. Dr. Orizu and the GOC prepared speeches which Onyeama Orizu broadcast, handing over the government of the country to the army. In other words, Dr. Orizu and GOC wrote the speeches that each of them or both of them gave. When did they give that speech? 16th January. It was a Sunday and it was around 11 p.m. You're going to hear about it very soon. Dr. Orizu and the GOC prepared speeches which Onyeama Orizu broadcast, handing over the government of the country to the army. I here state again categorically as a member of that cabinet that we did not hand over voluntarily. It was a coup. I've said it several times on this platform that there were 3 coups that happened that same day. The first one was against 2 people. The first coup affected 2 people, Ademuega and Nzogu, because those ones thought that they were doing something for the Lord. Church mind, changing Nigeria. Good people, great nation. Like the blessed Dr. Dora Akoinle used to say. The first coup that was carried out was when they were unaliving people all over the place. And Kaduna Nzogu in the north was killing people in the north. That was the first coup. Excuse me. The second coup was the one where Nzogu and Ademuega were betrayed. We're going to go back to that later today. By 2:30 p.m. on the 15th of January of 1966, Major Ifajuna was already in Enugu. 4:30 p.m. of that day, Ademega was sitting in Ijebu, not knowing what to do, himself at an Anufuro. That coup was the second one of the day. The third one is the one that Ironsi himself did. See, Ironsi was part of the first one, was part of the second one, was part of the third one. If you don't know it, please know it now. Ironsi knew about everything that happened. He even said it with his own mouth, but they said they would not kill anybody. 2 people have, in fact, 3 people. We have 3 reports of those who tell us about what Ironsi said on that day. There was David Ejo's account, Hilary Njoku's account, and Yakubu Gowon's account. We talked about those things yesterday. This one that is happening here is the coup that now eventually got him to become the head of state of Nigeria. Do you think that Azikiwe himself wanted to become a PM of Nigeria after the coup? Maybe, I don't know. But what I know is this: there were 2 options for the Igbos. And I'm saying this as respectfully as I can sound. I cannot lie. There were 2 options. One was for Mbadiwe to become the prime minister. The second one was for Ironsi to become the head of state. Whichever way you turned, the Igbos would take advantage of what happened.